Genuinely unexpected. So much so that I didn't actually go to the award. I hope this isn't a Lifetime Achievement Award, because that's the kiss of death. That says my career's over.
We're expecting our first child, which is going to change life considerably. Journey's going to continue to grow. We're opening an office in North America. Outside of that, we're in the process of launching another company. I cannot tell you what it is just yet. I'll probably get in trouble for this. It's called...
We've got something from Intuit, the release of their Enterprise suite.
Some new apps have hit the Xero App Store. Cone, practice management, a new one called Viable, which is for cash flow funding. We've got SumUp, and then we've got one called Link, which is a scheduling, workflow and capacity planning tool.
Klarna teams up with Xero for buy now, pay later payments.
More update from Xero. They have updated the dashboard, or I guess maybe tweaked the dashboard a little bit.
A little bit from me regarding active Workpapers.
Numeric has secured $28 million in Series A to automate accounting using AI.
We know the general direction of firms in the top 50 to top 100 are looking to work more with mid-market clients.
Who do you think stands out for you?
There are certain people that I think have done such a great job for such a long time. Their contributions go way beyond what they just do on a day-to-day basis. There's so much to put forward the professionalism of the technology sector, who cares so deeply and passionately, and instilling that into his teams. Such an important attribute to have, because a lot of vendors can form some opinions very, very quickly and very easily, and they're not always the right ones to have. You need to be around a little bit to understand, and then to kind of instill that in other people.
Yeah, what clothing item are you?
A string vest, slightly overused baggy scarf, a used pair of Y-fronts,
Old worn leather jacket.
a sock that you turn inside out when you can't be bothered washing it.
A cardigan that's frayed. Frayed and old.
You're a slightly moth-eaten tank top.
I'm so tired.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Digi-Tools and Accrual World podcast, brought to you by the Digital Disruptors. And I was always delighted to say that we've got a fun-packed show, plenty to get on with, lots of news, lots of updates, great interviews, and all the usual nonsense. So why don't I just quickly hand over to my co-hosts and find out how they're going before we get into the news. So, Indy, how the devil are you? You good?
Yeah, I'm really good. I'm fresh off the bat from a very cultured weekend. So I spent Saturday at Freeze, the art festival in London. And after that, went to the theatre.
Wow, very nice.
Followed by a Sunday of semi-DIY. I don't know if it is DIY if you don't actually get started, but it was an IKEA trip. So
DIY prep.
DIY prep.
Nice, nice. Well, it's all about the preparation, because you know what they say about the 7 Ps, you know. So that's good. I mean, we've got a slightly cultured Friday morning planned as well, don't we, this week?
Maybe, yes. And now Ryan's going to be super jealous. Why? Why have you got a super cultured Friday morning planned without me? Why?
Unbelievable. I assume life to stop for you both when I'm not around.
It does absolutely. And then Indy said, like, why don't we go to a life drawing exhibition? And I was like, oh, nakedness, yeah, we'll do that.
Ah, very nice.
The human body. I actually really did appreciate a lot of artwork this weekend. It was like, I texted you guys the one image that I thought was quite suitable for accountants, is that 17th century Dutch piece where there was, and it is so funny how I feel like there's something poetic about finance and art. They both seem to sort of transcend, don't they? And it's just all in the interpretation. So in that particular image, there was like looked like someone that was just still doing all the bookkeeping receipts and filing the accounts. And then there was a guy peeping behind the door to say, oh, is it going to catch me? Is it going to catch me out?
Yeah. So, I mean, in all seriousness, Ryan, just in case you do want to get a little bit jealous, Indy and I are going to go and see the, is it the Wildlife of the Year photography competition results? I think the images from that. So, yeah.
I am jealous. That's always looks cool when I see the snippets, the best pictures they put up. So, yeah, I am jealous.
Yeah, there are some incredible. I've seen some of the pictures online; they look incredible. But how are you, Ryan? Anyway, how's fatherly life treating you and everything else? Are you still getting no sleep and still feeling a little bit stressed and under pressure?
I am, but for some reason, I feel energized today. I think I've gone through the wall, and I'm now feeling, I don't know, a new self. I'm sure I'll come tumbling down by the afternoon, but at this point I'm feeling energized, energetic, ready to go.
Amazing. Excellent news. Well, that's good. That's good. You've pushed through the other side. So it's either delirium or something that you've been taking.
Probably both.
Exceptional. Well, let's get into the news and we'll see what's what in the world of accounting tech, shall we? And I think I'm kicking this one off today. So we've got something from Intuit, which is the release of their Enterprise suite, announced actually a couple of weeks ago now, so it's a little bit old this, but essentially, I guess this is Intuit expanding their reach and trying to build out their footprint of products, and going into that kind of like the enterprise ERP solution. They're effectively saying that this is a big part of their business, moving forward. They're looking to they've got a senior vice president in charge of this in terms of looking after mid-market and workforce solutions, and they're saying the cost of the product for a single business operation will be around about $7,800 a year, and then around about $12,000 for a company that has multiple business operations under one corporation. So not crazy money in terms of cost and things like that. They are forecasting some reasonable growth in this space. So they're clearly expecting to sort of develop this market out and things like that. They haven't quite said if there's any particular sectors or types of organization that they're going to go after. But, this is an interesting step up, I think, from Intuit QuickBooks, and just another part of their world domination attempts, I guess.
I wonder what this says about Intuit or QuickBooks Online Advanced, where that wasn't that long. It was like 1-2 years ago they released that, and now they're already going a tier above. I've heard some information about this, and they are looking for partners in the UK to help educate, train, implement this system. So they're going proper all out for it, and maybe they're trying to challenge what Sage are doing with Intact. I'm not certain.
Yeah, I guess the Intact things is probably at a slightly different price bracket, I guess. You could see if they're going for that kind of pricing, they're definitely going at kind of like that interim stage, aren't they? So I think, if they're going to bring it into the UK, I guess the likes of iplicit, Accounts IQ, et cetera, that we mentioned, are going to have to keep an eye on that and see what the impact is for them.
Definitely. Mixing it up. Well, moving away from the mid-tier space down to the small business space, as I love doing, was going to bring some of the new apps that have hit the Xero App Store in the last month. And we've got a few that have gone across multiple jurisdictions, some that are hitting the UK. So let's focus on those. So firstly, Cone, practice management, has now been recognised on the Xero App Store. We've talked about Cone before. They are a sponsor, and they are doing pretty damn good things in that really small practice space. Trying to redefine, shape things in a new way, new angle to what has been done before. We've got a new one called Viable, which is for cash flow funding and payments for the digital commerce space. They are about seeking ongoing capital, planning your finances, and delivering business insights and forecasting. So I guess all about that, supporting those that want to grow in the space. And then we've got SumUp, which everyone probably has heard of, but they have now officially joined the Xero App Store with their integration. And then we've got one called Link, which is a scheduling, workflow, and capacity planning tool for Xero Practice Manager. So I know Xero have been pushing Xero Practice Manager a lot more heavily over in the UK, and having something that can do capacity planning alongside that is going to be beneficial for all those that want to explore that avenue. Quite new, I guess, nowhere near as utilised as over in Australia. This is Xero Practice Manager, but if it does start to get more of a footing over in the UK, I think you want to explore Link.
Something else from Xero, which is slightly sketchy or light on the detail, is Klarna teams up with Xero for buy now, pay later payments, which, as you know, that I've spoken a lot about financing the last few years. It's interesting to see Klarna is going to be offered in Xero, but there's very few details about where it's available. It does look like a really great concept. Obviously, we've spoken a lot about the different financing options that have been available in Xero before, Satago, Iwoka, Arex, and others. And more recently, some of the other different platforms that are coming up down the track, such as Mimo on the AR automation. But this one doesn't really seem to include a lot of detail. It says that Xero can now offer Klarna BNPL payment options So plumbers and heating engineers that use Xero can fix their customers' boilers and let them spread the cost, while small businesses involved in the collection industry could spread the cost of smaller projects over 3 interest-free installments. We'll be interested to see, but there's very little detail in terms of which jurisdictions this will be available within, or whether it will be via the App Store or not.
So I had a quick look at this actually, Indy, and it's basically just a payment solution that you can just add straight into Xero. It's already there as well, so I saw it pop up when I was in our Digi-Tools Xero the other night, and just doing some bits and pieces. So it is. By the looks of it, sort of fairly easy to switch on. It's just a few clicks and you go through a process, and then you're done. And as far as I can see, which probably makes it a little bit different to some of the other funding solutions, is that the business gets 100% of the receipt. Whereas, with some of the other things that you talked about, quite often you'll pay a small percentage, or you'll get, sort of like 95% of the total invoice value, and either get the remainder on final settlement, or you just sort of suck that up as a cost of the acquisition of getting that payment. So I think this is going to be great for people to add in, particularly, like you say, for those types of businesses that are maybe B2C and wanting to offer customers a little bit more flexibility. And again, depending on what kind of payment solutions you add into your Xero, it means you could offer multiple versions of this. So it's going to be at the customer's choice as to how they choose to pay you. So it could be card, it could be buy now, pay later, it could be direct debit, it could be bank transfer. So it just adds to the flexibility, I think, that Xero offers. And I think particularly in that B2C world, customers do appreciate having multiple options to check out with.
Thanks, John. I mean, you could have said that at the beginning of my article, but I like that you waited right until the end. However, I do find it really unusual that we've not seen as much marketed on that. And I just wondered whether that's because it's something that's financing and therefore maybe not the nicest, cleanest reputation.
I guess, yeah, buy now, pay later does sometimes have a bit of a bad rep sometimes. But I guess if Xero can effectively push this in product, which, like I say, I've already seen it, being pushed in product, that's a great way of getting people to engage with these things. And maybe that's an alternate route for Xero to kind of promote and push these things out, is to just sort of have a splash screen in the product itself as a solution, rather than spending lots of money on direct marketing, which might not be quite as effective. I have one more update from Xero as well, which is they have updated the dashboard, or I guess maybe tweaked the dashboard a little bit, and they've added this thing called the Insights dashboard into Xero HQ, actually, just to be more specific. And I guess for anyone that's familiar with any of like the data integrity apps, so Xavier, which is now Dex Precision, Sift, which obviously we talked about last week and has been recently acquired by Xero, and others, you're probably familiar with this concept of being able to see a whole bunch of particular insights around your clients. And what the new Xero dashboard does is that it shows you things like when was the last reconciliation done, how many transactions are outstanding. It gives you some bandings in terms of like the quantity and quantum of transactions that are outstanding, and on whether or not it's going to have a big impact on the results. And it also gives you some other data around the sort of turnover, cash balances, and accounts receivable, accounts payable, etc. So you've got an ability to kind of get a fairly high level overview of what's going on with your clients. I would say at the moment, without some of the other data that you'd get maybe from Sift, as maybe Xero start to build this out and pull that in, I think some of this data is okay, but equally some of the data isn't all that relevant or all that exciting. And I mean, I guess, again, it depends on how you're going to be using Xero from a practice point of view, because if you're into daily bookkeeping and things like that, this will probably be more relevant rather than for a firm maybe a little bit like us, where we don't do quite so much of the bookkeeping, and more often not, our clients are operating Xero themselves. And so this is a set of insights into which we could be a little bit more proactive, I guess. But equally, there might be particular reasons why clients haven't kept up to date with the bank rec, for example, because they might have outstanding queries or waiting for invoices. So yeah, it's an interesting development. It's probably long overdue if I was to be critical of Xero in terms of, they've had this data for a long time and tried to figure out ways of presenting this in the past, but it's now there in product and available for people to use.
Yeah, another positive part of Xero HQ, and I'm certain like this can't have been them bringing in the tech from Sift, right? That'd be way too quick after the acquisition. So surely they've been building this for a while, and hopefully what they have acquired through Sift can help superpower what they've been building with this release. A little bit from me regarding active Workpapers. They've had some releases in September. They've released things every month, but their September releases were the improvements to processing reviewing journals. So if you're not using active Workpapers or you've not come across them, essentially it connects your traditional Excel working pack to your cloud finance ledger with a cloud Workpapers. That means you can get the power of Excel while still utilizing the benefit of the cloud. So the journals flow has been improved from the active Workpapers perspective. But the one bit I quite liked was they've brought out a profit reconciliation report. And this is something that I think every accountancy firm should be doing, is taking what the profit was from what you get from the client, showing all of your journals and what they're for and how they've adjusted your finances to come down to the end profit. And that's what you should be doing, and then reporting back to the client so that it's very easy for them to see what work you've done, justify, I guess, your fee. So they've brought that into the system, and this will be very helpful for any accountants that are using active Workpapers now or in the future.
Yeah, some great little updates there from Active Workpapers. And I've got a small update from Client Window as well. They have just released a new feature for keeping on track of the messages that you send back and forth to clients, and they've enabled the ability to see sent, received, and read notifications effectively in the product. So, effectively, if you're familiar with products like WhatsApp, for example, you know that when you send a message, you can see when it's been delivered, when it's been received by the recipient, and also when it's been read. So this is effectively a replication of that, which is exactly what Client Window is all about anyway, because it is a layer sitting over the top of like messaging services. So it's a nice, neat little thing, and obviously makes it a lot easier to manage things if you know that you've sent something to a client and they haven't read it or haven't opened it, that at least you've got an idea about why you're not maybe getting a response back on these things. So I think it's a neat little update from them.
And a nice last little one from me as well on Numeric, who has secured $28 million in Series A to automate the accounting sector using AI, which groundbreaking. I've never heard of this before. No, it's but in this case it is through the use of AI agents. So it's the Numeric lets the accounting team shave days off the monthly book closing and the quarterly book closing process just through the way that the AI agent looks at the different data sources that have been aggregated from a number of the accounting systems and Excel spreadsheets. It then overlays that data with the AI agent, who then effectively looks for each line item and how it's changed from one period to the next. And then they document that variance in the account. So it makes it easier for you to go straight to that entry and see what has happened. So I think there's going to be several of these different use cases that come to the fore. But these guys have obviously done a great job of locking in the investment really early on, because their technology has been leveraged and used from several accounting departments in companies like Brex, OpenAI, Plaid, and Wealthfront. So it sounds like they have done a really great job of securing a decent amount of cash for their AI agent. Any thoughts on this, guys, seeing as you are very much in this space and we've seen a number of different companies entering the space, either trying to implement AI agents or enrich the different accounting systems and data with AI. So what do you think? Will this have some legs in our space?
Well, I guess I'm dubious about how well it'll do, given the complexities of period end. But we are seeing a lot of development around, I guess, period end, period processing, speeding that up. And I think it's great that we're seeing so much development. We've not really seen much release, though, which shows how complex it is to solve. So if this is one that sticks, is really effective, I think it's going to be welcomed massively in the space. It's not something that I know from talking to clients. They really want some tools to help them with that. So I'm skeptical, but interested. I'll keep my ear to the ground on this one.
Ryan, you skeptical? No, I would never believe that. Not at all.
It's rare, isn't it? It's very rare.
When you say there's other apps that are in this space, maybe handling it in different ways, which ones would you then pick on that have managed to do it and then release, or the ones that are at least the alternatives that people could explore?
So now there's a big one over in the US that has completely gone from my mind of what it is. I know that in the UK, Mayday are building these features out, but have not quite got to that on their very open roadmap. And there is another one that hasn't been released yet. That's been going through the early adopters hub, which has been taking a little bit longer to develop. I'm not sure if we're at a stage where we should be talking about their name as they're not released, so I won't bring that up. But if in the meantime I remember what the heck the one in the US is called, I'll mention it. I'm going to do some quick Googling while handing over to John.
I mean, you've got Digits in the US, which might be the one you're thinking about, but then there are, and you've got BotKeeper as well, who've kind of been in and around this space for a while. Although, for anyone familiar with BotKeeper, they talked about having AI, and then they did a Dext, and actually it was a whole bunch of people overseas just processing transactions for them. Now, I guess I have some similar levels of skepticism to Ryan in terms of where this is at. And I mean, I think it's really notable that these kind of products are coming out of the US market in particular, where the kind of hype around AI and obviously that in the context of their challenges around recruitment and retention of accounting staff is a bigger issue than it is, certainly in the UK market. I think that's one of the reasons why you're starting to see it. Clearly, access to capital markets is different over there as well, which is why you're also seeing big fundraisers. But I'm yet to see one of these products make a real significant difference to a practice. I guess that's the real challenge here is like, how do these products make themselves invaluable or differentiate themselves from other things that we can do, which bring levels of automation, like just leveraging OCR technology, for example, and another thing that's been around for a long time. So I think for me at least is like the jury is still out. These fundraisers are exciting. The product releases are interesting to sort of see, but so far, we've not had any of the sort of the wow factor yet from any of these products, I don't think.
And that system is called Flowcast, and it's mostly around structuring, not automating. But it's one that has been successful in the US.
Okay, so I'm delighted to say I'm joined by Matt Lewns again from iplicit, and we're going to touch a little bit on the partner channel that iplicit offer to other accountants and other people interested in either getting involved in referring iplicit to their clients or even getting more involved in implementation work for clients. And I know, Matt, you were sort of instrumental in kind of creating and building this partnership channel. So it'd be great to hear from you, a little bit more about, number one, I guess, why iplicit decided to create a partner channel, and then also what the various opportunities are for accountants and others to get involved in it.
We formed and launched the market in 2019, and we've doubled in size year on year since. We're going to double this year, and we're going to double next year. Obviously, when you double each year, that gets harder and harder to do. And that means more and more customers. And being completely frank and honest, we can't continue to grow our professional services team at the rate that's required to carry on delivering those services. So we identified accountants as the perfect fit for us to partner with, because accountants, I think it's probably fair to say as a sweeping statement, in the main, have done the Xero conversions. Those that have wanted to move or could move have moved. Mm-hmm. The ones that are left now are those that don't want to move, basically. So you're getting more Xero optimizations now than you necessarily are Xero transformations. And they've got nothing in the mid-market space that they can use and do to work with these mid-market clients. There's been a handful of teams that you'll see, a handful of practices that have got Dynamics teams, NetSuite teams, but they're few and far between, and they're very hard to maintain and keep the training up and all that kind of stuff that's wrapped around it. So we know the general direction of firms in the top 50 to top 100 are looking to work more with mid-market clients. clients that align with the rest of their practice, that are probably maybe more likely to purchase other services, whether that's corporate finance or tax advice or whatever it may be, maybe less fee sensitive, and also the members of staff. They're working for these larger firms because they want to work with larger clients. Like, there's no disrespect to SMEs, but they're not, if they wanted to work with more SMEs, they'd work in smaller practices. That's the general sort of gist and rule of thumb. So we've identified there's a movement to mid-market in the accounting space. We need to have some implementation partners in place. We want to be a software business. Accountancy firms are service businesses. So there's a perfect hand in glove fit there where we can enable and upskill their teams to implement the product on our behalf with our support in the background. And we can take them through the whole cohort and shadowing process and all of that behind the scenes to the point of where they're self-sufficient. And then they can go off and deploy implementations of iplicit at their own will and generate the level of revenues that they were and are used to by doing it with Xero, not on the same quantity, but definitely to the same value.
And so, what are the sort of like the entry points for people to get involved in the partnership program then? Because I think there's at least 2, possibly 3. I think from memory.
Yeah. So we have 3 offerings. You're right. Starting at the most basic level was just a referral. So we can meet with any accountancy firm, give them a demo of the software, and basically just enable you to have a conversation about iplicit with customers for as and when the need arises. The second one is implementation partners. So again, referrals in that respect, but they can then implement the solution themselves. So we can train people up on how to implement iplicit, and that'll be groups of people, maybe different levels throughout, project managers, trainers, configuration consultants, etc. And then the third one that we offer is a BPO offering, so an outsourced offering. So that is for firms that have got a selection of mid-market clients in their outsourcing teams or virtual finance function teams, and they need a mid-market system of choice. So for those firms that they're using Xero or QuickBooks for the SME clients, but they want to establish themselves in the outsourcing space for mid-market, so that's where we fit in.
Just want to explore that BPO opportunity, because I think that's not something that I'd really considered, to be honest. And I know it's probably more popular maybe in mainland Europe than maybe it is in the UK. I mean, we see a lot of outsourcing in general in the UK, and a lot of outsourcing, particularly in the SME space, and maybe a little bit more of that kind of fractional CFO type work, but that does tend to still linger around the sort of the Xero QuickBooks ecosystem of products. It doesn't feel like it kind of operates in that next setup, or even in the sort of the large enterprise sort of ERP space either. So fascinating to see that that's an opportunity that you've seen, and also that some of your firm customers have seen as well.
Yeah, I think that is a huge area of opportunity of growth for us. We are speaking with 2 top 10 firms that want this and need this. And we've got other firms outside of that are also speaking to us about the same thing. And I think, being honest, it's because they've not had a platform in the past that's enabled them to do it. We know that the way to make money in outsourcing is to deliver an efficient, scalable service. If you're starting to run multi-entities and you're starting to charge for time rather than value add, you're quickly going to lose that customer as an outsourcing customer. We enable you through the efficiencies and through the platform and what we can automate and how much easier we make it for groups of companies. We enable you to keep that client and carry on delivering a service that is valued rather than a service that is built around input. And I think that's what's opening a lot of people's eyes, because they've simply just not had the tools to be able to offer this service in the past. So when they see this, they understand that actually this is a direction of travel for us now. And this is a client that we can keep for longer, because typically what I saw in my time of practice was they get to the point of outgrowing Xero, your fees become uncompetitive, you lose the client. Well, if we can help you keep that client, then that's a win-win all round for everyone.
Absolutely. And is there are you seeing a particular type of business that sort of is looking for this kind of service? Because I guess if there are accountants listening to this and thinking, oh, actually, this is something we'd love to explore, but we're not quite sure where to sort of target in terms of a particular part of the client base, where are you seeing success amongst your client customers?
Yeah, sure. So I think quite a lot of them have international groups is where they're getting that from. And that's where I saw a lot of the outsourcing work coming from in my time, where you've either got the UK parent with a lot of foreign subsidiaries, or you've got a foreign parent with a very big UK sub. So they're looking for you to pull that all together, and there'll be maybe non-revenue generating. Maybe there's just a lot of cost sharing and cost splitting across large groups, 50, 60, 70 entity groups. And then I think outside of that, there's a lot of more sort of service-based industry businesses as well. They're in the outsourcing space.
Yeah, fascinating. Well, I mean, I think that's definitely food for thought, right? And just I guess just to remind people that if they are interested in partnering with iplicit, you've got those 3 levels of partnership that you can kind of explore from referral to implementer to that full blown outsourcing finance function, which I think is a fascinating opportunity. And as you say, Matt, it strengthens those client relationships, and obviously you guys make sure that there's plenty of support on offer to support not just the firms but the clients as well, to give them a good experience.
I think just the final point on that is the firms that we're talking to, what they actually want is they want to move away from the work that's involved in these large groups, and they want to deliver advisory work for them. That's what they want to be doing for these clients, and that's what we enable them to do. We can take away that dog work of the intercompany recs and all of that stuff that's wrapped around it, and they can start to deliver value. And I know it's the buzzword and it's the magic word that's been around for years, but they can deliver advisory to that client and value add to the client. That's going to make sure the client wants to stick with them.
Yeah, well, that sounds perfect. And look, thank you again for your time. It's always great to hear about great products, and we wish you ongoing success with the development of both the partnership model and also with the product itself. I know there's plenty of product updates and things coming through all the time, so it's great to see and it's great to hear your continued success.
Thank you very much. Cheers, John.
Well, you two are going to the Account Excellence Award, so tell me about that.
I'm not now.
What?
I know, I've had that bad a sleep. I cannot make it.
I don't know why I'm in dismay that I'm without you both. I feel like I'm having to represent us.
Do you feel naked without the clothing that is Ryan and John?
I mean,
that's my metaphor for today.
A sort of like a slightly overused baggy scarf.
Yeah, what clothing item are you? Are you the baggy scarf, John?
I don't know. Just like a sock that you turn inside out when you can't be bothered washing it.
An old worn leather jacket keeps you safe, kind of rock and roll, reminiscent of my glory days. Just kind of, again, it's like hard wearing, and it's very versatile. Ryan, you
like a used pair of Y fronts.
Is it like a cardigan that's frayed, frayed and old?
A tank top. You're a slightly moth-eaten tank top.
It's like a grey mixed with, I don't know, like a mauve and like a
beige,
a dirt brown. Yeah, it's just you get
one of those...
Christmas, and you're like, I'm never going to wear this. That's what I am as a clothing item.
One of those terrible, like those sort of, when people think they've gone for like a tan leather, but it doesn't look like tan. It looks more like shit colour. It's sort of like.
No need to swear, John. Come on.
I don't think it'd be either, Ryan. I'm going to now have a proper think about who you are, because it's
a string vest.
Oh,
well, I doubt I'm lingerie, am I? Come on, let's be honest.
No, but maybe like why is a string vest helpful? Because it's quite helpful. So
quite helpful.
Jockstrap.
He's like a chastity belt. Is that what you're saying?
Oh yeah, yes, like that, like a chastity belt.
You mean I prevent anyone getting laid? Is that what you mean?
You prevent risks from taking place. That's what happens.
Yes. I'm like
in a medieval fashion.
But some people need that. I, for one, need it. I am obviously have a teenage daughter, and I'd like it if we could reinforce or bring back into fashion chastity belts. That would be great.
So you've heard it here first. I'm Indy Tatler's chastity belt.
With a rusty lock.
Oh, God.
Do not talk about my rusty lock, please.
Maybe I should be more celebratory about the awards coming and having a seat. But I just feel like now I'm very.
You can't be asked anymore, can you? You're like, oh, no one else is going to be there that I want to play with, so I'm not bothered.
No, not true at all. The Accounting Excellence Awards are a really good night.
Well, for what it takes, I am gutted that I can't go.
I'm
I'm
gutted.
really upset that I can't go because I would really like to go. I think it's one of the great events of the year, and it's in the right time of the year because it's not when all of the other bloody conferences are going on. And I'm miffed big time.
And it's following on the coattails of the biggest awards night of the year, so it's perfect time.
They've got something to live up to.
Yeah.
They know how to throw a very good awards event, and I think that I'm really looking forward to seeing who the winners are this year. Saw a few nominees already, so maybe we could talk about those at some point. But I'm excited to go to see what happens. So I will keep you guys posted, you losers posted who aren't going. Okay.
Yeah, you have to send us some pictures on the night, but not too many because I'll get FOMO.
I mean, I'll be asleep, so I'll look at them in the morning. I'm so tired.
Well, here we are. I am delighted to be joined by Richard Sargent, the winner of our Deity Award at the recent Digital Disruptors Awards. I know you were very proud because I've seen the LinkedIn pictures and they're sharing it around with lots of people. So how does it feel to have won the award?
Oh, do you know, here he is.
Very lovely.
I barely left my side. It's a bit too big to wear. That's my only criticism. And could be used as a weapon, I've discovered as well, but that's just right. No, it's really great. I was embarrassed, I think. I still feel a bit embarrassed. It's a real honor and genuinely unexpected. So much so that I didn't actually go to the awards, as you know, but that wasn't anything to do with me being up for it, I promise.
I heard that you had a better offer anyway, because I heard you were going to see a band.
I did, yeah. I went to see Polite Bureau, a good Greater Manchester band, which I had actually organised about a month or 6 weeks beforehand, probably just the same time as you're announcing the awards. So it wasn't a better offer, it was just alternative arrangements. And yeah, so anyway, the next day, Ryan tracked me down and embarrassed because it's really touching, and I haven't won anything since about primary school. So yeah, it's great. I'm really touched and very honoured.
Well, we thought you were a very worthy, winner of the award.
I hope this isn't a lifetime achievement award as well, because that's the kiss of death, isn't it? That says my career's over.
Oh well, yeah, it could be, couldn't it? That's it. Like, I mean, once you've got to godlike status, though, because like you are after all, like the deity, then surely you just become all knowing, don't you? It's like omnipotent. So you're everywhere then. After that. So it's not the kiss of death. It's more of like the perennial extension of your life forever.
Oh, that's good. That's reassuring. Yeah, because I'm not sure it could extend to my bank manager if I ran out of money. If I stopped earning.
Absolutely. So obviously, now you've got the award, and hopefully you're going to hang on to it for as long as possible. But there will inevitably be another awards in the future. That's our plan at least. So, who do you think, if anybody, we should be considering for next year's Digital Deity Award? Who do you think sort of like stands out for you?
It's hard not just going to go around all your old pals because they all do such a great job, isn't it?
You can do that if you like.
I can do that there. I mean, there are certain people to me that I think there are that have done such a great job for such a long period of time, and I always feel that their contributions actually go way beyond what they just do on a day-to-day basis, mainly through things like just being around for so long. And to those kind of slightly old timers out there, I'm always doffing my cap to them, and the things that people like that I've learned from over the years. People like Darren Glanville, who does so much to kind of put forward the professionalism of the technology sector, who cares so deeply and passionately about doing a good job for clients and instilling that into his teams, like through all the businesses he's worked for. The fact that he stayed in and worked in, he hasn't moved around lots and lots. He's kind of worked progressively, working detailed way with some businesses and instilling culture and values in there that I think really, and the conversations I have with Darren, the way he talks about the profession is always so nuanced. And to me, that's such an important kind of attribute to have, because a lot of vendors, mainly I think it's just because of there's so many new people that come in, not just vendors, I mean literally new people that come through. they can form some opinions very, very quickly and very easily. And they're not always the right ones to have. So, you need to be around a little bit to kind of understand and then to kind of instill that in other people. So people like Darren will be on my shortlist. And then there's some new people coming through that may not now, but definitely one to watch. My old pal Jack Overton as well, who's now working Accounts IQ. And I love Jack. His brain works in a really incredible, unique way. And, maybe he's a digital deity for the future, possibly.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that sounds good. I mean, I think there's a couple of really great names there. And I mean, I agree with you in terms of Darren. I mean, Darren was probably the first person that I interacted with when it came to the whole cloud accounting revolution, when he was working back at Xero at the time. And obviously had worked, I think, for Sage prior to that. And, just his guidance and mentorship around that in terms of helping me as a young accountant navigate that space, not really knowing what I was kind of getting myself into, was really helpful to me. And I know that, as you say, as he sort of moved between roles and moved between some of the other opportunities that he's had, I know that he sort of mentored many people in various sort of roles, whether it's been sales or customer service or products and stuff. And so he's definitely he definitely ticks all the boxes, I think, that's for sure. And Jack was there at the awards, so he's got he's got a taste for it already. He knows what it's
already doing better than I am.
Absolutely. So what's next for you then, Richard?
Well, most of my commercial work is working on with the technology sector, so software companies primarily. And over the years, I've really started to, try and hone what it is that I do for them. And it can be quite difficult sometimes to explain what it is that I do, but most of it is around trying to bring some kind of insight back into the vendors so they can build better products and they can communicate and understand their audience better. So I don't do marketing and that kind of stuff, but what I have been leaning a lot more over the last couple of years is a lot around training and also around research work. So I've got this brilliant title of executive producer for Counter Web Intelligence, and through my own business Principal Point, I've been doing a lot of that kind of research work, and I'd like to continue to do that. The stuff which kind of adds very high value, but probably doesn't get seen by a lot of people. That kind of stuff really kind of appeals to me. So professionally and intellectually, and they're really kind of quite rewarding type projects. So I'm steering a little bit more towards that. And also there's a thing which I think is really important and I really enjoy doing, which is bringing different parts of the world together in a slightly kind of chaotic way. And I kind of have different ways of doing that. Not least because some of you have been to my boat stuff in Bristol.
Oh yeah.
And we're going to Lisbon next year, which is a new adventure. And just to follow my nose a little bit, I think there's, I've done a lot of work recently with more European-based kind of tech businesses, and that's a kind of a new horizon for me as well. Getting to know those accounting worlds has been something I've been doing slowly over the years, but I think there's kind of where are different places in the world in terms of where they sit, and everyone tends to think that they're either ahead or behind everybody else, aren't they? So just having more of a wider view of the world, I think, would be useful, but also useful to some of my clients I'm dealing with as well. So that's where I'd like to head. Just push my horizons just a little bit more.
Wow, that sounds incredible, and I'm sure off the back of the kudos of winning the award, there'll be plenty more opportunities on the horizon for you. And look, I completely wish you well. I consider you a friend. You're a great mate that we get to hang out at various events and chew the fat and talk nonsense about what's happening in our space and who's right and who's wrong and who's doing good things and who's doing bad things.
Yeah, well, thanks very much. I do appreciate it. So thank you to you and Ryan and Indy and everyone who voted for me. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Thank you, Richard.
I am really delighted to be joined by the amazing Jordan Vickery, who has won the Digital Marketer of the Year award and is recently coming fresh off the back of concussion.
Yeah, you
Jordan, how are you feeling? What happened?
I feel much better now, thank you. I was dismantling a wardrobe, and I took the screws out of all the top bits and thought that it was going to hold in place. And then went to go and start moving various bits apart, and the whole thing just collapsed on me. And put me on my arse. And then, after a trip to the hospital, then a trip back home, and then another trip back to the hospital, and then another trip back home, and a couple of tests, they just said, you've got a bit of a bad concussion, so put your feet up and don't do anything all week. So that's what I've done.
Was the room, are you prepping the room for something? Is that why?
Oh, we are prepping a room, actually, yes. I was busy preparing our spare bedroom to become a nursery because we're expecting our first child.
Wow, child breaking. How many weeks? How many months?
Well, the baby's due on the 23rd of December.
Oh my God. So you could have
This baby. Yeah, we timed it terribly, but also timed it perfectly because at least you're going to have time off over Christmas anyway.
That's true. Always efficient. Always looking at the efficiency angle there.
Got to, right?
Return on investment. You've that I can see. That
the ROI is not looking great on the baby so far. I'm not going to lie. There's a lot of upfront cost, but it's an exciting time and it's a good new chapter of the life to look forward to. So lots happening.
Yeah, and Daddy needs to get there in one piece, and
a few brain cells left for when they arrive.
Exactly. A lot. Prepare yourself. A lot of sleepless nights. Endurance testing. Anyway, you weren't able to join us, but obviously we did have an award ceremony where you won an award. So we didn't really get the chance to give you an acceptance speech, apart from John's little acceptance that said, Jordan, I'm going to go for a nice walk with him, so I'll give him this award at some point.
I've still not got the award. Here's my makeshift award. It's a pint glass. I think James Sundin's currently got the award. He's going to deliver it at some point when we catch up. But I'm very grateful for everybody that voted and nominated for me. It was a nice surprise to wake up to, and greatly appreciated.
Yeah, and you were someone that really, I guess you asked me just before what was the acceptance or what was the criteria by which that you were voted for the marketing firm or marketer of the year. And it was, there were different levels to it, but one was obviously that you had received an inordinate amount of nominations in your favor. So a lot of people that had called you out specifically. Obviously, there were some references to some of the other marketing campaigns that you've done this year, notably with Pitch Slap at Accountex, which you did with Adam. And then also, of course, with the Digital Accounting Show, where with Dan and all of the kind of marketing around that, the promotion and the, again, just engagement that you encouraged throughout the event and in the run up to it. So there was a lot of references that the judges were able to speak about. And then specifically, we also had the opportunity to all table it and go through all the nominations. And everybody kept drawing different contexts or different references to campaigns or materials that you were connected to via Journey, so which is amazing, or individually. So everyone had a Jordan story, let's put it that way. And then, of course, everyone voted independently.
Hopefully all good stories.
Yeah, I mean, mine wasn't the best, but that was my own fault because I probably drank a few too many champagnes that day. But anyway, no.
I do a few quick shout outs since I didn't get to do it in the acceptance speech. Yeah. All right. Number one shout out is to Adam Clark, who was the chief creative officer behind Pitch Slap. So without Adam, there would have been no Pitch Slap. He walked around the Accountex with me all day, filming, often having to run because I'd literally see someone and sprint up to them to try and get them. And then did an amazing job on the edit and brought fonts into that video that I've not seen since the late 90s. So pretty incredible job there. And thank you, Adam. And then another big shout out goes to somebody you may or may not know is Taylor Housden. Taylor was the marketing manager for DAS and has been for a number of years. He finished up earlier this year. He did an amazing job working with Dan, myself, and the rest of the team on the marketing for the show. So it deserves most, if not all, of the credit for that.
Wow. Very humble. And you've obviously made a lot of different games in that time because Journey is it feels like an international agency of brilliant minds. Is that
Yeah.
about right?
Yeah, we've got team members in, I would guess maybe like 12 countries. So
Wow.
we've got myself in the UK, a couple of others, people in Rome, Serbia, Albania, the Philippines, Australia, Canada. I'm probably forgetting one or two other places, but yeah, international agency offices in the UK and Australia, and soon to be North America.
Wow.
And
24/7 marketing. That's what we should, the tagline needs to be journey 24/7 marketing.
well, we're actually trying to position ourselves as more than marketing, because marketing only ends up being a large part of what we do, but not everything that we do. I think for the most part, it's go to market. So it's looking at the wider, almost like the whole 4Ps, right? Like product, price, place, promotion. So it's not just looking at the promotion aspect, it's incorporating all of the other important factors that are so crucial for apps to get right in this space.
But isn't it a shame that you have to recalibrate what the definition of marketing is? Because back when Muggins over here did actually, much to the dismay of most of the professors, enroll into the Chartered Institute of Marketing and had to go through and learn. And the 4Ps were like the cornerstone of marketing. And the fact is that that's what you guys do a really great job of. But I just think that when I call it marketing, I don't just see it as like the promotional element that you do on the reverse, but instead it's that exactly what you said, the understanding of the go-to-market and the best way to transmit. It comes from a range of different tactics and techniques. And case in point is one of the reasons I, again, even had embarked on this podcast was because it's all about being able to transmit information in a more effective way. And that was, at the point where I was in Arex. So this
There's
was
a whole can of worms that we can open here, and I'm
Right.
sure that this is an entirely different podcast episode,
Yeah.
all about what go-to-market actually consists of, because marketing is a very, very small part of that.
Yeah.
But maybe we leave that for another time.
I'd like to hear more about it. So we will do another episode to do it justice. I think what would be really good to know is what your plans are for the next 12 months and how, things are shaping up from your vantage point on journey and where you're, aiming to be. What's the moonshot in a year's time?
Well, I'm going to become a father, which
Oh,
is going to change life for me personally quite considerably. So I'm hoping to spend time with my daughter where I can, which is going to be a very fun balancing act of journey plus some other things plus parenthood. So I've got all of that to come and to figure out. So if anyone's got any tips, please just send them my way. Outside of that, journey's going to continue to grow, and we're going to get busy with opening an office in North America so that we can work with vendors in that market, but also work with vendors looking to launch into that market from either the UK and Australia, because that's something that we've done once or twice now with apps either looking to launch from Australia to the UK or the UK to Australia. The benefit of working with us on that is that we've got boots on the ground and a really deep understanding of each of those markets, so that we can shortcut a lot of that initial research and kind of market analysis that you need to go through to understand how best to position yourself there. Outside of that, we're in the process of launching another company outside of Journey.
when are
I
you
cannot tell you what it is just yet. I can tell you what it's called. I think I'll probably get in trouble for this. It's called The Firm. And it's not an accounting firm, before you ask. And that's all I'm going to say for now.
Wow.
The firm is coming. I'm hoping it's coming in the next month or so.
Yeah, that sounds really exciting. When are you going to sleep? When are you going to even be able to find a moment for yourself? Because that sounds like an incredible next year ahead.
Yeah. And we've got a couple of the very fortunate thing about Journey is that we get to work with some incredible founders and incredible products, and we get to see firsthand like what works in the market and what doesn't work. And we've actually got a few ideas of our own for products that we might pursue in the future as well.
You're giving me something away. Careful, Jordan. Although I do think, by the way, that I'm here for it. There is so much of a gap that I can see that marketing has been able to benefit from, in the sense that you learn from so many people's approaches into the market.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of lessons there that are invaluable in terms of where the gaps are. So I can see that there are spaces, even from this podcast, when we connected with the networks that we have and the community that we've built, you start to learn where the gaps are in the market a lot better. And if you're just, again, it's being in the right place at the right time, but also having the resources that can carry you through that cycle and the speed to then get there quicker. I think there's a magic formula in there somewhere that I can see that Journey are right at the epicenter of, because you work with so many different apps in this space.
Yeah, and I think what it also comes back to is that we're both, myself, Trent, and everybody in the team are very connected where we can be to the actual accountants and bookkeepers that we're serving as well. So for all of our clients, we spend a lot of time speaking to firms to really understand, what are their problems, what are the pains they're facing, what are their challenges. We don't assume this stuff, which is often a mistake that some marketing teams will make, because they don't spend enough time actually with the end customers, really understanding their business and their world and what's going on. And we're very fortunate through the work that we do to be able to spend a lot of time with accountants and bookkeepers, many of which we can call good friends, and we can go out for drinks and dinner with, and really get under the skin and figure out what's happening in their worlds. And because of that, it does help with not just marketing our clients, but also helping to understand where there might be other opportunities to help.
That sounds really interesting, and we're really looking forward to at least seeing a little bit more about what you're doing. Not least of all because I love babies. So I can't wait to see little baby pictures.
Do you reckon, I was going to say, do you reckon she's going to come out with a mustache? But that would be concerning for her.
Hey, I'm born Indian, and when they come out hairy. So you're probably asking the wrong person here, but I do remember actually, like my daughter, when she was born, obviously as a mother you think, oh, they're the most beautiful things in the world, like there's nothing more beautiful than my baby. And then at the time I was we were with like I can't remember, there's like an American friend that we had, and he's probably not used to seeing an Indian baby, so we showed the picture and he said, oh my god, how cute, it's like the hair just goes all the way down the face. That's exactly what every new mother wants to hear.
Oh no.
And I think is there any other shout outs you'd like to give to anyone, or who else you think actually next year should win the award, based on what you've seen in the industry?
It's hard. Like there's people doing great marketing in this space. Like specifically, some accountants and bookkeepers do a great job of marketing their firms, and there's a number of people that have done a great job building personal brands on social media and have really, taken the time. The way I think about it is that they're not trained marketers as such, right? They're coming from an accounting background and trying to learn marketing, and applying it really, really well, and obviously seeing great success. So there's some great examples there. On the vendor side, there's also some apps that do a nice job with their marketing. I'm trying to think of a few off the top of my head, but you put me on the spot now.
There was a couple of other nominations that I thought were interesting. Rachel Harris, Tribex, I think, doing a really great job at the moment, and I think it's clear to see that she unquestionable momentum, and the style is unmistakable. So I think that's really great because it stands out in this space. I agree with you. Some of the firms the tech firms have at least managed to engage a bit. I guess, like, who could we pick on?
I like what I see from Free Agent recently.
That's true.
I think their team are doing a good job. I
thought campaigns.
A nice little out of home campaign, North with the kind of electronic billboard thing, which was quite cool. Like it's nice to see people experimenting with that stuff. It's also something that we're starting to consider for some of our clients. So go Free Agent.
Thank you for jumping on with us to talk about the award win. Congratulations again. And definitely looking forward to seeing how Journey and the firm shape up the next year. So We'll look forward to having you on another episode to talk more about the go-to-market.
Thanks for having me. Cheers.
Well, there you go. That wraps up another episode of the Digi-Tools and Accrual World podcast, brought to you as ever by the Digital Disruptors. And we thank you, of course, for listening, and we'd love to hear your feedback, your thoughts, your ideas, comments on anything that you've heard. Let us know if you agree or disagree. We're always interested to have a bit of a discussion or an argument or whatever you prefer. And we're always wanting to try and make the podcast better and improve the quality of what we do. So just give us a shout, find us on the socials, you know where to get us, and share amongst your friends and like and subscribe, because that all makes a difference for us.